Welcome to the Benchwarmers Breakdown. Today I'm going to be breaking down the trade between the Spurs, the Bulls, and the Kings. The De'Aaron Fox and Zach LaVine trade, as it might better be known as in the future. Um, I think the Spurs won this trade, and it's not even close. They didn't give up any of their young guys. They gave up Trey Jones and Zach Collins, and they got in return De'Aaron Fox. Now they did give up like 3 draft picks. I think they're all first round, but I think 2 of them are protected, which means that if they get a lottery pick, then all they have to give up is 2 second rounds, and they get to keep that lottery pick. So it's kind of like a head scratching move by the Kings because yes, they get the guy Zach LaVine, they reunite him with DeMar DeRozan, but it's also like, wouldn't you rather have Fox? And you get 3 firsts, but as I just said, 2 of them are kind of like not even that valuable, and you give up your most loyal player, the guy that I thought was gonna stay on the Kings his whole career. It is honestly kind of shocking to see this. I knew that De'Aaron wanted to be on the on the De'Aaron wanted to be a Spur, so I think he would have went there with free agency anyways. So it's a good job by the Kings to get actual value. But let's go back to the very beginning of this trade. Why would the Bulls agree to this? There's only one answer that I could think of. It's because they're trying to tank and get a great draft pick. Um, whether that be this year or an upcoming year, I don't think they have the pieces to lose this year. I think that they're already out of the running to lose because the Wizards are just so terrible this year. They have like a 9-40 record. Um, their supporting cast is terrible, but they are a young team. They're looking to go get Cooper Flag, but the Bulls like they don't really have guys to lose. Kobe White's really solid. Ayo Dosunmu's really solid. Nikola Vucevic is really good on offense. So what will the Bulls do? I mean, if I were the Bulls, if I was their management, which who knows what their management's thinking, I would try trading away like either Kobe White or like one of your best players for a couple of draft picks. Because if you really are gonna dedicate yourself to just rebuilding, then just why not just go fully into rebuilding like the Wizards did? And like the Wizards just traded Kyle Kuzma, who, I mean, he's not a great player, but he can help you win. So getting Chris Middleton for Kuzma, it's kind of like, so you just replace someone that's good with someone that's who has an injury history and he's a veteran. So they're actively trying to lose. Now, if the Bulls follow that pathway, the Bulls have a decent future. The Bulls have a future of rebuilding, which it's not a fun thing to watch. I mean, I'm a Lakers fan, so I haven't ever had to deal with my team rebuilding. I mean, I did have to deal with the years with Lonzo Ball, Josh Hart, Brandon Ingram, and Julius Randle, which were still really fun years to watch. Um, but then you also have the other side of this trade where it's let's go to the Kings. You give up who I thought was going to be their franchise player. When you think of the Kings, you think of De'Aaron Fox. At least that's how my brain works. Kings, oh, De'Aaron Fox. Now it's kind of like the Chicago Kings. They got DeRozan and LaVine from the Bulls in the span of what, a season and a half, 2 seasons. So I also wonder how Sabonis is gonna deal with this. I wonder how Sabonis is gonna be able to fit with LaVine and LaVine LaVine and DeRozan, because DeRozan is a great mid-range scorer, Hall of Fame mid-range scorer, one of the best scorers of all time, and LaVine, he kind of has the reputation to be a guy that like awesome player, really good, puts up great numbers, but he's just always on a bad team. He hasn't shown that he can like win. Whereas De'Aaron Fox, he won Clutch Player of the Year last year. He took the Kings to, what was it, the Western Conference Final or something like that versus the Warriors a couple of years ago. I mean, they lost in 7, but it's also Steph Curry, the best point guard of this generation, and I don't think it's close either. Um, but yeah, the Kings give up Swipa, the guy that's dropped like 60 points this season, and they get LaVine into firsts, but they're just gonna stay in this like little cycle of just being mid. They're just gonna stay in the cycle of just being mid because they, I don't even know why the Kings would really want to do this. Moving on to the biggest winner of the weekend. I think the Spurs won that weekend more than the Lakers with Luka Doncic, more than the Mavs with AD. If you look at the Spurs roster now, they still have all their young, valuable guys in like Jeremy Sochan, Devin Vassell, even Stephon Castle. They didn't even have to give up Stephon Castle. So now you're going to have a trio of Wemby, Castle, and Fox, who are all relatively young. I guess Fox is getting older, but he's still like maybe 26, 27. I'm not looking at anything right now. But he's in his prime right now, or he's going into his prime. He's the fastest player in the league. Think about it like this. Fox drives, gets past his defender, and is going straight down as fast as he can to the basket. Defenders already have hard time stopping that. Now, if you go commit to Fox, he's just gonna throw it up, and the 7'4" alien Victor Wembanyama just gonna go up and snag it and dunk it. The Spurs are looking like they're gonna build towards being contenders with the right pieces, and if they start building around those three players. It's kind of like the Lakers. The Lakers should probably start building around Luka Doncic so they can be a contender in a couple of years. Lakers aren't contenders yet. The Spurs, they're not contenders this year. They probably won't be contenders next year. But in like 3 to 5 years, I can see them contending because they have Victor Wembanyama. They have Stephon Castle. They have De'Aaron Fox. Again, those three players all show great signs of potential. I think Stephon Castle should win the Rookie of the Year. He probably the second best rookie in this class behind Jared McCain, but McCain's been hurt all year. So by default, you just think, oh, it's got to go to Castle. But there's other people in the running, and Castle's actually a little bit inconsistent. He'll have really good games where he has like 20 points, like 6 boards, 5 assists. But he'll also have games where he's like 5 points on like 1 for 6 shooting, and that's what he needs to work on. He needs to work on his shooting, in a little way. And like this is kind of a weird comparison. He's a little bit like a guy that's going off right now, Amen Thompson. Amen Thompson is a hell of a player, great defender, very athletic. Those three things relate to both Castle and Thompson, but they both can't really shoot. I get Thompson's more of a like small forward, power forward, and Castle's more of like a guard. But they both have 40-inch verticals, and they're both like. But at least when I'm watching Stephon Castle play, it looks like he's not even trying. That's just how athletic he is. It's not like you can clearly tell he's competitive and he wants to win, but it looks like he's just not trying because of how athletic he is. So you pair that athleticism up with Wembanyama and the fastest guy in the league, Fox, and it's gonna get scary, especially if you surround him with some shooters. But that's like the one weakness that the Spurs team has right now. I mean, I guess they have Harrison Barnes to fill a little bit of shooting in, who's been really solid this season. But like your second best shooter is Wemby. Wemby's a good that I'm thinking of right now, at least, is Wemby. I'm definitely missing someone that comes off the bench. Again, the Spurs also gave up this guy City Sissoko, who's done nothing this season, or like in his career, honestly. And then they also have this guy named Malachi Branham off the bench, who I think he's pretty good. Blake Wesley's also coming off the bench, who I also think is pretty good. But they're both not going to get minutes because Fox is an all-star, all-NBA caliber player. So I think that the Bulls lost this deal. I think that the Kings just had to settle. I mean, the Kings fans are definitely heartbroken. They just lost De'Aaron Fox. He was probably a lot of people's favorite player, a lot of Kings fans' favorite players. And then the Spurs, if you're a Spurs fan, you're on top of the world. You're thinking, oh my goodness, next dynasty, next Manu, Duncan, like you're elated. You are very happy, very bright future for both the Spurs. I was gonna say bright future for the Kings, but I really have to see how the spacing works. It's kind of like I need to see how the spacing works with Luka and LeBron, which is the game's happening on Saturday versus the Pacers, and we'll see. I know. I already made a video about LeBron and Luca and the Lakers and how that's gonna work. But it's just so interesting because it is one of the biggest trades, if not the biggest trade in NBA history. Um, yeah, I think that's gonna wrap up this episode. If you have any recommendations, leave them in the comments.